the busiest actors around. He is currently in 3 films: The Big Lebowski, The Real Blonde, and The Wedding Singer. Please welcome the immensely talented Steve Buscemi.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm real good. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I saw you actually at the premiere of The Wedding Singer.
That's right, yeah.
We ran into each other, and I hadn't seen the movie yet. I didn't get to talk to you afterwards, but you as the drunken singer in the band was one of the funniest things I've seen in a movie in a while. You were hilarious.
Thank you.
Did you have any experience at all? Were you ever in a band? Did you...
Well, yeah, actually, I did have a band in the early 80s called the Pawns of Love. I was...
The Pawns of Love?
Yeah.
So
Pawns.
sweet, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't play anything. I was the singer. And, which, I mean, you know, it's fun singing in a band, but when you have rehearsals, and usually bands like to jam like an hour before you actually rehearse the songs. And if you don't play an instrument, you just kind of sit around and you don't do anything. So they would always try and hand me like a tambourine or something.
The ultimate humiliation.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the Davy Jones of the band. So but I mean, it was fun. It was,
Davy Jones held tambourine in one hand and 2 maracas in the other hand, and would just go like that.
But I couldn't even swing that. So.
Oh, well, now, are you, I'm curious about this, are you tired at all? You're always great in movies. It seems, correct me if I'm wrong, that they do tend to pigeonhole you as sort of a creepy guy. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah.
Well, it is. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but
I don't like to admit it, but yeah, it's true. I guess it is true.
Do you get tired of playing those kind of guys?
I'm sort of resigned to it, but, you know, and then I get hopeful sometimes. I did this movie called Armageddon that'll be out in the summer, and when I was told about it, they said you'd play the part of a geologist, and this guy's a genius, and they go up and they land on an asteroid and they save the world, and I'm like, this is great. I play a really smart guy, a genius. I'm kind of maybe, you know, and then I read the script and I find out he goes to strip bars and he has a nervous breakdown on the asteroid and he tries to kill everybody. I swear.
Those things didn't come up in the first pitch.
I know.
Well, you're doing Saturday Night Live this week, and you seem like a great guy to do that show. What are they giving you anything else to do? What are the scripts like they're giving you so far?
Well, it's wild doing that show, I have to say. You do a table read-through like the first day, and there were like 40 sketches, you know, and I read it, you know, and like the first sketch is Anna is a real estate agent. Steve is a creepy guy who comes and looks at an apartment. You know. Will is a plumber. Steve is the creepy guy whose toilet is backed up. But that's all right. You know.
All right. Did people ever come to you and say, "Oh, we want you to play, you know, the undead or a zombie or anything like that"? Try and pitch that at you?
You know, I've never played a vampire, which that surprises me. You know, I did a Miami Vice once. It was like the first things I ever did, and you know, I was playing a drug dealer, of course. And
the Miami Vice was only Crockett and Tubbs, and everybody else was a drug dealer.
Right. And we were doing a scene out, you know, in a graveyard. I forget why we were in the graveyard. But and there were these little kids in the neighborhood, and they came up to me, and they looked at me, and they said, "Well, who do you play, the vampire?" And I thought, no, but I should. I really should.
The vampire in Miami Vice.
Right.
Yeah.
Could have had one.
You know, I want to do a commercial right here and talk about some more stuff. If you can do another segment. You okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll have more with Steve Buscemi in just a second, so stick around. Steve Buscemi here, ladies and gentlemen, and it was actually your father, apparently, who was the first guy who encouraged you to play a bad guy. Is that true?
In a way. I mean, when I was a kid, for my 5th birthday, I got a Superman costume. And It was a great thing. Actually, it was funny. On it, on the cape, there was a little thing printed, do not attempt to fly in this costume. Only the real Superman can fly. It kind of messes with your head, you know. It's, just,
it's kind of wrong in a way.
It's wrong. I need
kind of lie into them.
Yeah, you know. But, and then for some reason, even though it was my costume, my brother Johnny, he was older than me, he always was Superman whenever we played Superman. And he
would just take your costume.
He would say, hey, let's play Superman. I'd say, okay, and he would just put it on. And I'd say, well, who do I play? And, well, you could be Jimmy Olsen or somebody, you know.
You're the creepy guy.
Right, I was the creepy Jimmy Olsen. You know. Stalking Lois Lane. Yeah. And,
hey, Lois.
But then my father made this, like, Super 8 film, you know, with all the kids and cousins, and my brother got to be Superman, and I got to be a bad guy. So that was my first bad guy role.
Now, what's your dad like?
He's a great guy. He works for he's retired now, but he worked for the sanitation department, and he's a real interesting guy. He's always kind of had an interest in the occult, Edgar Cayce and reincarnation, and for a while, this is going back a few years when I was a kid, he was into pyramid power.
People believe that pyramids draw energy or something.
Yeah, and some people, they will build pyramids like in their backyards and go inside and meditate. And but my dad, he didn't want to build like a whole pyramid in the backyard. And this is true. He made a little one out of balsa wood that he used to wear on his head. And he'd try and and he would meditate. He would fall asleep. You know, with the thing on his head.
He would fall over and kill someone with it. You know. What, would he forget it was on and, answer the door and stuff? And, yes, hi, come in. Oh, this, my head pyramid, yeah.
But I know sometimes I'd have, friends over and he'd be, in a chair asleep with the pyramid on top of it. Don't pay attention. He's into the occult.
Yeah, that's all. We'll leave it at that. You were a big fan of drive-in movies when you were a kid?
Yeah, I was. We used to go to drive-in movies. It's too bad they don't have them much anymore.
I don't know if they even really exist much. I remember in the 70s when I was a kid, sometimes my family would put us all in our crappy station wagon.
Same thing.
And we would go and see movies.
Yeah. I used to sneak into them as a teenager, too. My uncle had a house in Pennsylvania, and we used to go, me and my cousins would sneak into them and kind of hang out by cars to, try and make it seem like we were with that family, like we were just happened to be hanging outside the car. So
every now and then and go, good line, huh, Dad? I'm not your father!
Right. Get away from the car.
But were you much of an athlete? You were a wrestler? Is that right?
I used to wrestle.
Because I mean, you're really thin. Were you what weight class?
I was thinner then. I was 105 pounder.
Right.
Yeah, and I was all right. I mean, I was better during the year because I had this one move called the reverse cradle that it was like this surprise move that I would be able to pin my opponents with. And then when it came time for the tournaments, you wrestled the same guys, and then they knew, and then I couldn't pull that one anymore.
But they'd be like, oh, hey, reverse cradle guy,
reverse cradle guy, yeah.
That's me, yeah.
But it was a good move. You grab the guy around the head, and then you...
Can you show us the move?
Yeah, I can show you.
Andy, you all right with this? All right.
Did you wrestle?
Only in gym class.
Can we move this?
Yeah, that's a union.
You're having trouble moving that table and you're going to wrestle Andy? Yeah, I'll wrestle Andy just a second. Oh, God!
I didn't warm up. Mr. Earl, my wrestling coach, taught me this move. All right, Andy, you have to get behind me.
All right. This is how it's done. This is the ready position.
And you got to do it. Can you put your other leg up, though?
Oh, yeah. Wait, like this?
Anybody tuning in right now is really afraid and confused.
No, you were right, actually.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
So then you would grab your guy like this.
Okay.
Right. But I need this leg.
Well. All right, there.
Wait, you have to ask?
You didn't have to first.
I'm too big.
Wait a minute, come here. Wait a minute. Steve.
I'm so embarrassed. You you're the first guy that the reverse cradle didn't work on.
Well, we're not exactly the same weight class.
No. It works on lanky guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, what kind of wrestling move is it when you have to ask for their leg? First get their head in this lock, and then, pardon me, could I have your inner thigh?
But the thing is, you should always ask because it might work. They might be so surprised. What? You want my leg with this?
What? You want this? Wang. All right. You know, I'm really happy that you're hosting Saturday Night Live. I used to work there.
Yeah,
and we used to, as a writer, we used to dream for hosts like you.
Yeah.
Because you'd be really funny on that show. You're going to do it this weekend. Yeah. You will, trust me. I've arranged it.
I'm not going to do the reverse cradle.
That's in the monologue, I believe.
I feel like I let you down.
Yeah. Well, musical guest Third Eye Blind is so that'll be a good show. And you got The Big Lebowski at theaters right now.
Right.
And Armageddon is going to be out this summer.
Right.
Always great to talk to you.
Thanks
so much for coming. Steve Buscemi, everybody. Mimi Rogers is coming up. We'll be right back.